You're listening to Catalyst Talks, the life-giving podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Trager, a catalyst to catalysts. Together, we'll be bridging ancient intelligence with modern wisdom to activate our future potential. Allow these conversations to spark deep inquiry into who we are, why we're here, what's our real purpose, and how can we harmonize with the higher energies at this time to usher in a new evolution of ourselves and humanity. If you enjoyed these episodes, take a moment to share, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, head on over to YouTube and social, share your thoughts, and be part of the conversation. Thank you for being here. Your attention means the world to me. And now a word from our sponsor, and then you'll enjoy this uninterrupted episode. As mission-driven business leaders, entrepreneurs, and evolutionary change agents, you know that speaking can help you generate opportunities, visibility, leads, and growth, and allow you to have more influence, impact, and even more income. And if you've ever considered taking the stage, my friend Trisha Brook is the transformational speaking mentor you want in your corner. As the former executive director of the first TEDx in New York City, TEDx Lincoln Square, and Speakers Who Dare, she has literally supported thousands of thought leaders, including me, in becoming top speakers and influential voices. Trisha has a complimentary masterclass called It's Time to Go from Uncertain to Unstoppable, and I highly recommend. You'll learn how to share your story effectively for impact. Speaking gives you instant credibility, and learning from an award-winning director, producer like Trisha, who's worked in film, television, and theater for 3 decades, will catapult you into a new speaking career and platform that you desire. So like me, Trisha has integrity. She models impeccability, elegance, and maturity in business. So you can trust her as your mentor. So head on over to trishabrook.com/unstoppable and start your journey to becoming an unstoppable speaker now. The link is also in the show notes. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Catalyst Talks, the life-giving podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Trager, and I am so grateful that you are here with me, whether you were returning as a listener from the past or you are new to my world and our world at Catalyst Talks. Thank you for being here. We took a pause, and it was a much needed pause, figuring out if we were going to rename the podcast. I'll share a little bit about that, and figuring out what was the next iteration. And I am so grateful right now to feel so aligned. We have new producers who are just so awesome, and it's just been time. It's time to come back because people have been asking, where is Catalyst Talks? And I've got some really amazing guests lined up. Now, what is the Life-Giving Podcast all about? Each episode, I will be connecting with awakened leaders, change agents, conscious investors, business alchemists, philosophers, wellness rebels, spiritual teachers, and wisdom keepers to share insights and support listeners on their journey of awakened leadership. People who are thinking way outside the box, who can help you connect to the dots in your own life, not only your own personal inner stuff, but like the experiences you're having in this world right now that are different maybe than 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even 1 year ago. That's why I had to pause. I have been going through a massive evolution, and I'll be sharing, you might notice some of that in the content that I'm sharing, but I will share some of this with you along the way. So if you are a wayfinder at the bow of the ship, if you are a futurist, a visionary, a business leader, or someone who is spiritually curious about your own awakening right now, stay tuned for these episodes. Join the conversation on social. If you're here on YouTube, give us a subscribe, comment, and like engage with these episodes. It will help me to bring on guests to answer your questions and speak to some of your needs. So what are we experiencing right now? You know, I work with leaders who are holding a lot of complexity in their work, in their business, in their expertise, and experiencing these subtle awakenings and sometimes not so subtle. And then the question becomes, how do we integrate this into the very 3D old school matrix of what we're doing? You know, when it's involving a lot of people who might not also be aware of their own awakening at this time. There is something called a convergence happening. A harmonic convergence is an older term, but that really speaks to what is happening right now. And the pieces I want to talk about today in this little brief episode is about unity, consciousness, and oneness. We talk about oneness. We throw this word around almost fragrantly, not really understanding and feeling the embodied understanding of what that word, what oneness, what unity consciousness actually means. And it's not an intellectual exercise. So what we want to do is know how to feel it. I have been called to a deep inner evolution and this journey of understanding my own connection to my multidimensionality, our multidimensionality, and figuring this out is not really an intellectual exercise. It is an embodied experience that calls in my entire lifetime of experiences to help me create meaning, to then put into words to create the intellectual explanation. I'm really grateful for the clients that I get to work with one-on-one because I workshop this. I share as this is happening for me real time, I'm sharing these experiences and concepts and they're kind of walking with me at this edge, and it's taking them to their own edge as well. And my question becomes like, how do we integrate our own evolution? This isn't only about finding our own inner peace, emotional freedom, mental wellness, and spiritual expansion. It is about the me, because the me is the we. And what harmonic convergence refers to, when I say this word, I've been wanting to understand what this means, because just those two words together have a sensation. They have a frequency for me, harmonic convergence. So is it the convergence of our multidimensionality? Is it the convergence of, say, 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, 9D, D being dimensions of existence? Is it the convergence of the planets in our solar system? Is it a convergence of calendars and fractal time, where ancient prophecies have said that when planets align in our solar system, the human race will enter a period where changing calendar, the changing of time, will enable us to experience peace and harmony, planetary harmony, humanitarian harmony, harmony with nature and our existence here on Mother Earth. And when we think about planetary alignment, like, what does that mean? Most of us are not thinking in terms of our everyday when we're going through our to-do list, what it means to be in oneness, in unity with our experience as an Earth, as a planet, as beings of Earth. We are Earth. As an Earth, what is our relationship with the planets in our solar system? How are we moving? We might look at our horoscope and think of astrology or even astronomy. Astronomy is looking out there, and it could be a philosophical pondering of our place in the universe. And then astrology is a beautiful language of the sky, a language of our place in the solar system and our individual and collective experience, emotional, and the collective mind, the collective emotional body, and our individual emotional and mental experience here in relation to where the moon is, where the sun is, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, all of the planets and all of these different asteroids and different influences in our solar system that are influencing us. The moon moves the ocean, the tide. The moon encourages and is a part of fertility and childbirth, a woman's cycle. So we are deeply affected. Some might say, yes, we are this percent water, and the moon, is the ruler of water, and it still separates us, right? It's like this deep inner invitation right now. I'm touching so many bases here. Welcome back to Catalyst Talks podcast. What I'm dropping in all of these pieces for now, I want to bring it all together. When we think of unity, consciousness, or oneness, like we are all one, what does it mean for you when you feel it in your body, if you close your eyes, if you're not driving or operating machinery? And you close your eyes and you feel, what is oneness to you? What does it mean to feel that? The convergence of all life, of our place in relation to everything, the connection. When you think of that and you feel it on a cellular level, your place in the connective web of everything. We talk a lot about the mycelium network now. That is something that I've been saying for so many years, and people look at me with five eyes. And now that is integrated into the collective narrative, the words mycelium network. We've been talking about this for 30 years, how the mycelium network was communicating across this planet and is a whole other level of intelligence that we have yet to access. And we're starting to access it now. Indigenous native people, ancient civilizations might have already been working with that intelligence and information and connection. And now mainstream, this more modern way that we devolved to evolve, and then we devolved again, and now we're being invited back to evolve. And that is the integration of ancient intelligence, indigenous wisdom, modern knowledge, future potential. This is what we're talking about here on Catalyst Talks, the life-giving podcast. These are the guests that I want to have on the show that are going to help illuminate and elucidate, sometimes in a more spiritual text, sometimes in a physics, scientific context, sometimes in a very real, like, how is this impacting me in my personal life context? We have some really cool guests coming up as well. We're kicking us off. I'm really excited. And I'm just inviting you all to be part of this conversation, because the collective oneness, this energy of unity, consciousness, the convergence, the harmonic convergence of our multidimensionality, is there's an energy on this planet that is supporting our evolution at this time. Everything is not just linear. There is so much more happening in the invisible. And what we are being asked to do right now is to connect more dots. So the other day, I was sleeping and we had a big, massive storm. And I live on a bit of a mountain and on a lake, and over the lake, there was a light show. So we lost our power. So all the lights were out. Yet there was this light show over the lake for 2.5 hours, nonstop, blinking lights with some kind of lightning energy in there. But it was just, the sky was blinking. And my immediate sense was, okay, is this an electrical storm? Is this just regular lightning? Is this what lightning looks like now? Someone might say climate change. The storms are more intense. And I would say that I believe that very little bit has been talked about. I mean, a lot is being talked about, but it's not really welcome in mainstream circles, because people are like, well, what do I do with that? And whenever there's information that's really, really important and detrimental to life on Earth that people don't want to deal with because it really could influence our decisions and how we feel about our day to day, because it's kind of scary to embrace some of the information that is right in front of us about our lifestyle and the way we live. And this is where enter cognitive dissonance. A huge part of my writing right now and what I've been speaking about is this chronic state of collective cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is when we don't want to hear about something. We don't want to know about it because we'd have to make a change. There's a psychologist in the 70s who coined the term cognitive dissonance, and his name was Leon Festinger. And the concept exists for thousands of years. This is like the evolution of humanity away from who we really are as connected, sovereign Earth beings. Though cognitive dissonance sort of is referred to how this modern society is going about the disconnect from who we really are and the truth that we know to be. So what happens when you receive information that you do not want to be true because it would affect something in your existence? You'd have to make a change, or it could affect your sense of belonging. It's just like viscerally affects you as a human in your experience. And cognitive dissonance shows up in a lot of ways, but 3 of the main ways it shows up are: 1, we don't want to know about it, so we pretend we don't hear it. We pretend it doesn't exist. We go about our day. Number 2 is we hear it, and then we find evidence to prove that it's wrong, like that truth is wrong and that our belief is right. That's like kind of a pretty insidious version of it. Though then there is the version that we know this new information is true, and we are so uncomfortable with it. It's creating such a dissonance from our behavior. Like if we know something is bad for us, or we know something about something and we're doing it anyway or using it anyway, and we know that it's actually causing harm, there's a dissonance. It's cognitive dissonance, a dissonance between what we know cognitively to be true and our behavior. And that dissonance in this 3rd version, where we know it's harmful, but we do it anyway, and we we are ashamed. There's like this low level shame or guilt or discomfort. And that is the part that is really dangerous, because somewhere in our psyche lives that knowing. And it is doing something. When we have dissonant behavior, it's doing something. Just like when we are separate from each other, unity consciousness, we talk about it, we want it, we're all about oneness, yet our behavior is exemplifying disconnect and distance and separation. Loneliness happens, sadness happens, despair happens. So it's this interesting time where we are in great dissonance with a lot of our intellectual, like heart opening expansion at the moment. And then there's this dissonance in our behavior. And there's an effect of that. It's creating this grief cycle. It's creating just an interesting sort of, I don't know, the energy that I receive is like not harmonic. It's not harmonic at all. So while there's this rise of harmonious energies inviting us to plug in, which is really going to activate our future potential, it's really going to harmonize our potential and upgrade us and activate all parts of our multidimensionality and our gifts, our psychic potential. There's this other behavior that's going in another direction, focusing heavily on technologies that are actually causing more disconnect. And this is just an interesting time we're in. And a lot of scientists, a lot of teachers are speaking about this. And the invitation is that we start to feel it viscerally. And I shared this bit about the electrical storm the other day because it was such an interesting experiment where I felt this is happening because of the frequencies, the electromagnetic waves in the air, the proliferation of EMFs, electrosmog, electropollution. It's irrefutable that there is an exponential amount of electromagnetic waves in the atmosphere that did not exist before. In the advent of crypto, of blockchain and crypto and AI and all of this smart everything, connected electromagnetic everything, we are creating the electrification of this planet. And that is not a conspiracy theory. That's just fact. It's nothing good or bad about it on its face. It's just a fact. The question I have is, what is the effect? I don't know this. And if you know, let's have a conversation. Reach out to me. Come on the podcast. Let's talk about it. What is the effect of that field, that electric field, and lightning? In the last 4 years, I have lived in this land where I am living right now, my home. The last two, I'd say year and a half, the electric storms have knocked down 100-year-old trees, like trees that when I first came here, beautiful forest. There's something in the air that is causing this lightning. And then also the trees are just, they're feeling it for sure. And if you know me, you know that we talk over to trees over here and we hear them. So there's something very intense going on with the chemicals in the air and the electrification of the air. And we might not feel it subtly as humans. We are adapting and evolving with it. And the invitation is to just start feeling this and to question things, question things. So I was walking around my neighborhood the day after, walking my little doggy and talking to the other dog walking neighbors and saying to everyone I passed out the day after the storm, did you see that? Oh my God, what do you think it was? This is very interesting inability for people to even connect to that there was something massive that happened that was a phenomenon that we had never seen before. And most of us are in their many decades of age and have never seen something like these things before. So I just watched how people just have disconnected. They're not even able to think about it. And I would say, well, I think it's the electrification, and it's just like, oh yeah. And then they change the subject. And I don't press, I don't hound, but this is like a study that I'm doing. I'm seeing how uncomfortable people are about talking about evolutionary changes that we are experiencing. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, you're totally interested in this. And this is where your curiosity is pending as well. And that's why you're here with me on this journey. So I want to thank you for being here. Now, this is some of the takeaways. Let me just give you some takeaways because I traveled many bases, but I wanted you to feel me, feel this is where I'm at right now in my own evolution of understanding my multidimensionality. Because in order for me to share, teach, and coach and be a guide for other people, which is what I do in my life's work and my service, I have to know what I'm experiencing too. And we're all going through these evolutionary edges. And, I had a big pause this year from for a lot of reasons. And I'll share some more as we go here on the podcast. But I really want to share things that are going to be useful for you. Sometimes our anecdotal experience is really helpful for other people. And so the anecdotal experience I wanted to share now is around the observation of a very deep discomfort, a dissonance, a cognitive dissonance with the things that we're experiencing collectively on Earth right now. The insights, intuition, knowings that you might be having, how connected are they to your deeper inner work, the inner pieces where when you have new insights and you have to process and mulch and like sort of clear out. Now, people call it healing. I'm really moving away from the word healing because I feel that indicates that there's something to be healed or an illness or something, right? It could be a detox. It could be a letting go or releasing. It could be just activating the alignment. We no longer need 10 years in therapy. So the coaching, the work that I'm doing, it's not like I'm not listing a bunch of problems and marketing to pain points. I'm inviting people who want to really catalyze and awaken their future human potential here on Earth now, so that you are, as the wayfinders at the bow of the ship, the light leaders, the bearers of willingness to cross that edge, that uncomfortable edge, and be aligned and congruent, not dissonant with your new knowing. How do you bring this into your work, even if it's uncomfortable, hard? How do we have these conversations? How do we move and shift, galvanize collective mindsets? This is the work we're doing here. This is the message of Catalyst Talks, the life-giving podcast. And this is what I'm inviting conversations about. So I welcome you to engage and reach out. StephanieTrager.com, CatalystTalks.com. That's the podcast. And it's all linked to StephanieTrager.com. And I share information on how you can contact our guests and go deeper with them. This is about waking up. We are waking up. If you're listening to this, you are. And connecting more dots and living congruently and holding the message and holding the alignments so that we can have this unity consciousness, this oneness come online with a harmonic convergence of ancient intelligence. There's so much information we need from the past and our indigenous wisdom keepers holding that bridge from the ancient past to the future, to the modern. The indigenous cultures that are holding the fort, holding wisdoms, ancient wisdoms, they're like the bridge between ancient and modern. And I call myself like a bridge between the ancient, the indigenous who are holding the ancients. So it's like the bridging. These are dots connecting, and the future. And indigenous prophecies around our future are a part of that bridge. And so those of us who are feeling called to be that bridge, it's like we are if you think about electricity, we are the electric poles. We are the electric poles running the current of this wisdom, this ancient intelligence. And it's really important that we honor our physical vessels. I call this journey of peak wellness. Real invitation to being that conductor is being able to harmonize the highest intelligence of your physical body, your vessel. And to do that, we want to keep it clean. We want to be careful. What we put in it is a conductor of the truth, is a conductor of intelligence. The more distorted synthetic chemicals that we ingest and put on our skin and spray on our bodies, the more distorted the information, the less of a clear channel we can be. So peak wellness, soul mastery. What is your soul doing here? How is it a part of this collective harmonic convergence? Higher purpose is getting out of that whole identity trap of who we think we are, who we have to be, and really leaning into the higher purpose we're being called to right now. And the deeper impact is this real inquiry into why are these new words, right? Like I was an environmentalist, a tree sitter in the 90s, an environmentalist, which became sustainability practitioner, which became, regenerative agriculture, which becomes regenerative this and that. And the impact is these are words that are like we're always looking for new words to term the leading edge catalysts of change on this planet. And I feel that we're heading into a new word. A new word is coming. Deeper impact is like really, it's alchemizing now. But this is about how do we take these deep spiritual, yes, we're spiritual beings, this energetic, multidimensional everything, and activate it into and catalyze this next evolution of humanity and our relationship as earth beings at this time in the universe, in the galaxy, in our solar system, where there is other life. And so let's harmonize this intelligence and do our best to show up, because part of this is just showing up and listening to the nudges and willing to speak your truth. So in this evolution of the podcast, and I'm so grateful to be back. I'm glad if you're here with me, and I'm deeply I'm trusting that this all made sense and is landing somewhere in you, catalyzing and activating something in you that is hungry for this type of information right now, and connection, this type of connection with yourself right now, because everything you're hearing that is coming through me is really a part of you. It's activating something in you that knows this to be true, and it's comforting to hear because you're thinking these things too, or there's something in you, whether it's conscious or not, is also aligning with this information. And lastly, before we go, I wanted to just offer a little invitation to a talk I just did. It's an 8-minute clip. I'm going to put it in the show notes, and it's also on the YouTube channel under the Daily Dose Extracting the Medicine section. And this is a talk called What Ancient Trees Can Teach Us About Our Future Human Potential. And I envision this being a longer keynote where I'm actually doing a workshop, which is a workshop I've done. And this is all about shifting the collective mindset. What ancient trees can teach us about our future human potential. It is my come from story. So if you really want to hear the journey that I've been on receiving messages, it's not about me. This is about the messages. This is about the messages from the ancient trees, the tree intelligence that's connected to the cosmic intelligence. This is about indigenous wisdom keepers like Don Juan from the Shuar Nation in Ecuador. This is from Mamo Alejandro in the Kogis in Colombia. This is from various experiences I've had over the last 30 years as an earth keeper. And it is an invitation to awaken our multidimensionality and work with living systems, earth energies, and the cosmos. And of course, that means mastering how we work with, receive, understand, and live in harmony, in harmonic convergence with frequencies. More on this soon. If you are listening for the first time, please subscribe to the channel. If any of this resonates, I am having some amazing guests coming onto the show. And the people that I really have also been reaching out to that I would just want to bring to you that require more subscriptions, more followers, more likes, in that weird identity thing that we have to do. I'm asking for you to just give a subscribe, a thumbs up, a like, a comment, a follow, and that helps the show grow. This is, the sponsorships here are minimal. You have uninterrupted episodes, and we want to bring you more amazing content. So thank you for being here. I love you. I love you. I love you. And please share with me how this landed for you. Stay tuned for more of Catalyst Talks, the life-giving podcast. Thank you so much for being here.